This revealed a lot about the Vancouver Canucks as key players are stepping up in their battle to make the postseason. We get an update on Filip Chytil, and this is exactly what the Canucks need to do to have a playoff berth. We have a lot to break down in this episode, and you're not going to want to miss it. Before we get into that, if you're enjoying this Canucks content, it's completely free to hit the subscribe button, and we'll keep you up to date on everything to do around the team going into the postseason and next season. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, where we do know the Vancouver Canucks are currently sitting second in the wildcard spot behind the Minnesota Wild. We do see on their heels the Calgary Flames, St. Louis Blue, and the Utah Hockey Club. Three of these teams are battling for the Canucks in the final wildcard spot. We've seen the Canucks coming off quite a big win last night versus the Chicago Blackhawks. We do know they're 5-5 in their last 10, a 2-game win streak, and this is exactly what Canucks fans need to expect coming out into the game tonight versus the Utah Hockey Club. This is another must-win game for the Canucks if they want to increase their chances to make the postseason. Now, Noah Strang on Twitter, go check us out. He covers everything to do on the Canucks and does an incredible job doing it as well. Another huge win for the Canucks tonight. If they win in regulation, their chances jump up from 10.8% to 52.2. If they lose in regulation, their chances drop 10.8% and it drops down to 30%. Massive swing either way. Then you can see in the little graphic, if they beat Utah, it does jump 10%, and if they lose to them, it does drop 10. This is another big win, or it has to be another big win for this Canucks team. But before we really dive into this game, we know there is a lot of these games coming up on the schedule that the Canucks truly need to make a giant push if they want to secure this spot. Now, looking at the times, yes, I'm from Newfoundland. The times are going to be very different. It's 4.5 different from Vancouver, but Utah is a must-win game tonight. We see them play the St. Louis Blues on March 20th, which is another game that they need to win as they're fighting with this team for a wildcard spot. These are games the Canucks have to win. Yes, the Eastern Conference games matter. Yes, beating teams like the Winnipeg Jets are going to matter as well, but they need to beat these teams that they're fighting with in Utah, St. Louis, even the Calgary Flames, which we did see them secure 2 points within a shootout win. This Canucks team has been evolving quite a bit, and it's coming on the back of a lot of their stars. Now listen, we need to get the elephant out of the room. We know that Filip Chytil did go down with an injury, and this was a report from last night from Brendan Batchelor. He says Rick Tocchet didn't have an update on Filip Chytil after the game. He said he didn't get an explanation for the non-call from the officials, and listen, it was a disgusting hit, and the fact that the officials didn't even look at it is even more disgusting. We've seen him go down with an injury, and the biggest thing with Filip Chytil filling out that second line center spot, the Canucks are already weak on the center position. And listen, their centers have been playing great, but going from JT Miller to Filip Chytil to Suter jumping up on the second line, we're going to see Blueger bump up and probably Niels Amon jump down onto the fourth line. This does change a lot for the Canucks. We've seen PD really step things up. Höglander has looked outstanding recently. Jake DeBrusk has led this team in scoring. Brock Boeser has been in a little bit of a slump, but these guys are really going to have to step up in the absence of Chytil if he is out for an extended period of time. Now listen, Filip Chytil, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points in 56 games. This is split between the Rangers and the Canucks, but Chytil has been an incredible play driver for this Vancouver Canucks team so far this season, filling out that second line. I mean, losing this guy, and if he's out for an extended period of time, we're going to have to see Pius Suter really step up to take over that second line center spot. But looking at this, we also get a report from Rick Dolly today where he says nothing coming from Department of Player Safety Day regarding games last night for those asking about the Jason Dickerson hit on Filip Chytil in Vancouver. So it seems like there's absolutely no suspension coming. And listen, I didn't want to include the hit. It was quite a bad hit. We've seen Chytil be very woozy. He has dealt with concussion problems throughout his NHL career, so losing this guy is going to suck, not only for the fans and the team, but for Chytil going down with another injury, where we've seen him limited to, I believe it was 10 games or less than 20 at least, with the New York Rangers last season. So losing Chytil is going to be a major blow to this Canucks roster on that second line center. As I said, Pius Suter should step up, Blueger should step up. We probably see Jonathan Lekramacky jump into the lineup going into the game tonight, but these guys, and especially a guy like Brock Boeser, really needs to turn things around, and this is the moment that he can do it, as we're seeing PD already do it, where he scored in 3 straight games, having multiple points in almost all these games. But looking at the last 5 games for PD himself, 1 goal, 1 assist versus Chicago. 1 goal, 1 assist versus the Calgary Flames. Another goal, which is 3 straight games with a goal, and having 4 goals in the last 5 games. And going into this, they're 3-2 over the stretch as well. We're seeing the emergence from Elias Pettersson. PD, that's going to help with this Canucks team. Listen, the PD haters are quite quiet right now, and I do agree. Listen, he does need to step things up. This is a player that's getting paid $11.6 million against the cap to come in to be the best player. We've seen him have quite a slow start to the year, 15 goals, 26 assists for 41 points, but we've seen PD hit the 100-point plateau before. We've seen him score, I believe, 102 points in a season, have Selke voting, looking like the franchise cornerstone for this team. Quinn Hughes joins this team as the franchise guy, but PD is the franchise forward. Seeing him finally get back to the point where he can joke with reporters. They asked him, what's your thoughts on scoring 3 straight games? And he's like, crazy, isn't it? This guy is finally starting to have fun with hockey game, and Rick Tocchet really spoke about this in his interviews after games as well. Going into PD finally enjoying himself, getting his skates moving. We're finally seeing him score goals. I'll run the clip again where we did see him score against Chicago. This goal went in. They couldn't tell if it went in, but it was awarded to PD himself. He's finally getting a shot back, and this is quite big for the Canucks team and quite big on this team alone. Kevin Lankinen is another major piece on this Canucks team, going 23-12-7 for his first season with the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to see him start between the pipes for the Canucks versus Utah tonight, but there's so much to digest, and no pun intended on that, with this Canucks team. Between the goaltending, we see Thatcher Demko still out, though he was on the ice taking live action shots, which is a huge step in his recovery after going down with another injury. Kevin Lankinen has been the savior between the pipes this season, as Shilovs has not really found his footing. And listen, he played fine against Chicago, but I feel a lot more comfortable with Kevin Lankinen between the pipes. But overall, looking at all this from a standpoint, the biggest question with this Canucks team is, who is the next to step up? As I said, Höglander was a guy that was on the 4th line for quite some time this season. We've seen him step it up to join PD and DeBrusk on this top line. Chytil is a good play driver, but it does seem like he will be out for a certain period of time that no one is 100% sure on yet. Suter has been playing well with Dakota Joshua and Connor Garland, but I think the next man to step up on this team has to be Brock Boeser. And listen, there's a lot of noise around him. We know the comments from Patrik Allvin from the media after trade deadline, but I do truly believe Boeser is the next piece that needs to step up if this Canucks team wants to secure a playoff spot, if they want to win these meaningful games against teams like Utah or games like the Calgary game as well. We need to see more players in this lineup step up, and we've already seen one of them. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on the Canucks going into the game tonight versus Utah? Do you think the Canucks make the playoffs? Because I think there is a very strong chance we get postseason hockey, and it would not surprise me if they made some noise and made a second round appearance or a appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is a little far-fetched, I understand. But this is the team that has a lot to prove, and a lot to prove to people that have been haters on them and doubters. But what are your guys' thoughts on all this? Go down and leave a comment below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and take care.